Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next lesson in the Su-25T Cadet series. This time we're going to take a look at the ACS automatic control system. It is not called autopilot because this is a Russian aircraft. The buttons, or how can the ACS system help you? The ACS system can help you navigate to a waypoint, to a target point, steer point, to a return point, and also help you landing. The limitation in the landing setup is that 50 meters above the ground the ACS will turn off. So it will guide you so close to the runway that you are 50 meters above the ground. There you have to take control. And please note that you will not get any warning that the ACS is turned off. There are no beeps, no voice or anything. So you need to keep an eye on that by yourself. The lights we're going to look at are these. These are the panel that tells you which autopilot setup or autopilot mode is on. And I cannot remember all of them, so let's go through them as we use the autopilot modes. That is much easier. In other words, I can remember it, but when we activate the modes, I can. So yeah. The buttons you're going to need for this are autopilot route following. It should say ACS. This mode is for navigating to a steer point or to a waypoint or to the point that you have locked with your Squall targeting system. If you find a target and you lock it, that lock point, that target point will become your steer point, and you can use the route following ACS mode for navigating to that point. Next one is altitude and roll hold. That means it will, when you push a button, your altitude will be locked and your roll, your bank, will be locked. That is a very useful feature if you are in a holding pattern. If you're just circling, evading or awaiting further orders or anything like that, or perhaps awaiting your wingman to catch up, then put it in a bank, let's say 30 degrees roll or bank, hit that button and just let go. The aircraft will keep turning forever until it runs out of fuel. It is very important to note that you can only activate the ACS within plus or minus 60 degrees in bank. That means 60 degrees bank of roll to left or to the right, and 35 degrees in pitch and minus 35 degrees in pitch. Outside those boundaries, nothing will happen if you press the button. So please note that. And to help you know whether or not you are within those limits, that line there on the HUD, that is 60 degrees. So it is pretty easy to know whether or not you're within those limits. The next one is attitude hold. In other words, it means a pitch hold. If you have a long climb ahead of you or a long descent ahead of you, just let's say 10 degrees, pitch 10 degrees, wings level, hit that button and the aircraft will hold that pitch. It will not hold the roll / bank. And one thing to note about the ACS, you must control the throttle all the time. In the Su-25T there are no auto throttle. The ACS system will not in any way have authority over your throttle. Barometric altitude hold. That means when you press that button, the altitude you're at measured in barometric, when you press the button, the aircraft will hold that. Please note that if you have a 5 degrees pitch, let's say up, you press that button, the aircraft will descend back down to the altitude you were at when you press that button. Some people think that, oh my god, it's going to kill me. No, it is not. It's just trying to get back to the altitude you were at when you press the button. And radar altitude, which should be radio altitude, that is your altitude hold just using the radar or radio altimeter. That is a rather fun way of flying. Let's say if you need to be at 100 AGL, 100 above ground level, you press that button and the aircraft will move up and down, trying to maintain that 100 AGL. To know the difference between MSL, mean sea level, barometric, and radio altimeter, AGL above ground level, I will link to a video I made that tells you what the difference is and when you should use each mode. And you also have a transition to level flight control. The manual explains that as an emergency leveling mode. It is used for a emergency leveling mode. In real life, it was used to, if the pilot gets disorientated, he can press that button and the aircraft will wings level and level out. It will return to a wings level horizontal flight. That is very useful for if you know you need to go to that direction for a long time. Just press that button and the aircraft will wings level and fly in that heading until you turn it off. You also have a button that says autopilot override or ACS override. What that means is, let's say you are flying using the transition to level flight control. You want to correct the 10 degrees to the left. Instead of turning off your ACS 10 degrees to the left, turn on the level flight or in emergency mode, you just hold down autopilot override. As long as you press and holding that button, the autopilot function will be disengaged. Then you correct your flight path and release that button. When you release, the aircraft will continue on the last ACS mode. So that is a ACS pause if you want to. It is a very useful button for making small corrections. So, and lastly, we have autopilot disengage. ACS disengage does what it says on the tin. It turns off all autopilot or all ACS. So that is the buttons you're going to need, and going to need navigation mode also. That is also used in the ACS system because it changes through or cycles through the different navigation modes. Okay, let's take a look here. You can see on the HUD that we are in route navigation mode. That means that we are in a navigation mode that when we engage it will help us guide to the steer point. It will fly us through all our flight route according to the desired, briefed, planned route. So It is a very nice mode. It's just like in the F-16, so it is a traditional autopilot if you want. So let's activate that by going in by pressing the route mode. Now you see down here we have AU means or, that is AU in Russian is. That means the A autopilot is activated. The MARSH marsh, something like that, and route mode is activated. So the autopilot is activated in the marsh mode. So all you have to do now is just to maintain your desired speed. I need to be at 450. I'm at 390. And as you can see, when you have reached your steer point, the system automatically changes to the next. So it is a very nice mode. Just remember, you need to keep track of the throttle. If you have a problem that the plane is fishtailing or keeps moving to the left, right, it's crossing the desired route, just hold in the autopilot, disengage, and then line up for yourself and then let go. If you take a look at the autopilot or the ACS mode panel down there, I press the ACS override now. See? Nothing. I release it, it returns to the previous ACS mode. So the override button is a very useful mode. If you want to completely disengage it, just press the disengage. That turns off all autopilot modes. Let's return to the marsh mode. The next one you have is the altitude and roll. Let's turn off autopilot. Let's say that we are ordered to hold here, hold in a waiting pattern. We keep in a nice roll. We don't have to be super level, just approximately. Press ACS altitude and roll. As you can see now, the autopilot is engaged, and the KB, that is KV in Russian, maintains our roll bank. We are now in a waiting pattern or holding pattern here. As I said, you can use that if you are too early for a steer point and wingman needs to catch up, or you need to wait until the runway is clear, or anything. So it is a very useful mode, very nice mode. The next one we have is attitude hold. What that means is I'm at 1900 meters now. Let's say I want to go up to 4000 meters. I pitch up 15 degrees, press attitude hold. You can see autopilot is engaged, and the ACS system will now hold me at that attitude. So, but as I said before, you need to be in control of the roll. It only is a attitude hold. And oh, they changed that. That is correct. Yes. Pitch and bank, that is pitch and roll, is stabilized. So you do not need to maintain your own bank. Let's say that right now I'm at 255. Let's say I want to be climbing at 280. I press and hold autopilot override, move over to 280, and roughly leveling or wings level, release. It will now maintain me my altitude and roll at that heading. So very nice feature. The next one is barometric altitude hold. As I said, the barometric altitude hold holds your altitude according to your barometric altitude. It does not make you fly nap of Earth, that is contour following. It is not that. It just maintains your flight at the barometric altitude you're at when you press the button. So we're at the 3000. I'm pressing the button. And she's climbing now. She wants to get me to 3000. And here I need to maintain my own roll. So the next one is radar radio altimeter. You know, old habits. So that's why I sometimes says radar altitude instead of radio altitude. It is old habits. As we know, the radio altimeter only engages below 1500 meters. That is why to use the radio altimeter you need to be at 1500 meters or below. Let's fly over these mountains or hills. In Danish terms, these are mountains. Radio altimeter at 320. Now the aircraft will, or the ACS system will try to maintain 320 radio altimeter or radio altitude. It will go up and down, up and down. You need to control the roll, but the aircraft will keep you at the correct height. See, it is some fun flying when you're using that. So, and please note that it is in no way, any shape or form, a terrain following radar. It is not. It will not make you avoid flying into a mountain if that mountain suddenly rises up in front of you. That is why I made the video on how the radio altimeter works. It is not a terrain following radar, and it will not avoid you flying into things. So now we tried that. Let's go to the return point. Let's say you need to return to base. You are heading towards a steer point now, but you need to return to base. So what you do is press the navigation mode button. One more. Now, as you can see in the HUD, it says RTN return mode. What you can do now is within those 60 degrees and 35, press the route following. The aircraft will now fly toward the return point. As you can see, desired speed is 730, desired altitude is 4500, and the distance is 41.2. It is a very nice mode, but please do not only use ACS mode. Also use the manual way, because if you get a damaged hut, you are most likely done. So first learn the manual way, the simple way, and then you can use the smart way, or the stupefying way, because you are not getting smarter, you're actually getting more and more stupid. The more technology and automation you use, the more stupid you get, because the more the computers are doing for you. So that is the ACS mode. We want to fly over to the return point and then try to land using the automated system. The automated system is very, very nice in a bad weather or at night or anything like that. It is a very nice system. If they made a Su-25T full fidelity model, I would gladly buy it for $60 or $70. It is such a nice module. The amount of automation is just right for my taste. It is not too much, and it is not too little. It is, for my taste, on a perfect level. The automation level in the F-16 is just borderline too much. You're relying too much on switch on buttons, menus, sub-menus, everything else. So, please note that our airspeed is now to be 350. I need to descend now to throttle all the way back, air brakes out. And as you can see, you cannot adjust altitude above the water, therefore the ACS system is very useful when flying over water. When you're flying like this, be very careful with your angle of attack. It can rise pretty much without you noticing it, so keep an eye on that. As your speed drops, your angle of attack also rises. It is now gone into landing mode. That means it is now trying to line up with the runway. And below 400 kilometers per hour, we can deploy gear. Deploy gear. Air brakes in. Note the angle of attack. It is very high. Throttle up. Below 350, shaking stops. Shaking starts. Deploying air brakes. New speed is 280 kilometers per hour. Air brakes in. 290 kilometers per hour. Pitching up, that means we're slowing down. Throttling up a bit. Remember, there is turbine lag. That means that the engines need time to spool up. With more speed. One step of flaps. We have 13 kilometers. 290 required, 370 required, throttling up. See, when she starts swaying like that, sometimes you just need to give her a bit time to settle in. Otherwise you can press and hold the ACS override wings level and then release it. That sometimes helps. 350. See, the runway is all the way over there. That's why you need to be able to land by yourself and not be dependent on an aircraft. So this is actually a very nice example, because look, the runway is over there. So what I would do now was disengage ACS, gear up, flaps up, full throttle, back out to the turn point, and I'm cycling to the return point by using the navigation mode button. And from there, at the return point, I would try to line up as best as I can with the runway. So this is a very good example on why you need to be able and ready to disengage the autopilot and be comfortable with in your own abilities to land your aircraft. Do not rely on electronics. Trimming those down. If the weather were so bad that I could not see the runway, I would call into ATC, and there I would know which runway to be at. And I know that, let's say it is 07, at the return point I need to be flying towards my landing point. When I reach my landing point, I need to be flying 07 to be lined up with the runway. So let's switch to landing by pressing the navigation mode button once more. If you do not want to use the automatic landing, you can use the circle. As we mentioned in a previous lesson, try to keep your crosshair in the circle like that. And if you do not like to use that, you can use the ADI. So you have plenty of ways to get yourself back home. Now this is a pretty good line up here. I'm pressing the auto mode now. Let's go gear down. Air brakes out. Speed brake. As you can see, according to the ADI, we are perfect on the glide path. one step of flaps. That beep was the outer marker. That signals that we are 4 kilometers away, or roughly 4 kilometers away. If we are too low, throttle up, full flaps. Do not pitch up if you're too low, always throttle up. And it's better to land a touchdown. That sound is the outer marker. I'll be ready to take over. Autopilot has disengaged at 50 meters. We are now in control. We can make the final adjustment and the touchdown. Touchdown. Throttle all the way back. Keep the nose up. Let her slowly settle. And that's it. Deploy a brake chute. Detaching brake chute. Some multiplayer servers want you to detach the brake chute off the runway. Some don't care because the brake chutes are not flying around.
1-0, заруливайте на стоянку.
So that is a lesson in using the ACS system, and a very good lesson, as you saw, on why never ever to trust the ACS. So, but always trust your instruments, just not the ACS. So. Yes, perfect.